You can't deny the evidence any longer. We know what you did.
I will defend my dad in court. The young girl said it without fear, looking straight at the billionaire who had just tried to ruin her father's life. People in the courtroom laughed at first, but within minutes, that same room would fall into a silence so deep that even the powerful man at the center of the storm would realize he had made the worst mistake of his life. The courtroom felt heavy with tension as the billionaire leaned forward in his polished chair, eyes fixed on the small girl standing beside the defense table. She looked no older than 13, her hands steady, even though every adult in the room expected her to break. The wealthy man's lawyers had already spoken for nearly an hour, painting her father as careless, irresponsible, and unworthy of sympathy. They spoke with the calm confidence of people used to winning. The father sat quietly beside his daughter, a construction worker whose worn hands rested on his knees. His shirt was simple, clean but faded from years of work under the sun. When the girl finally spoke, her voice cut through the room with a quiet strength that surprised everyone. She said she would defend her father herself. A few people in the gallery whispered to each other, assuming it was a childish act of loyalty. Even the billionaire allowed a small smile, the kind that comes from believing the outcome is already certain. But the judge allowed her to continue. Something in the girl's steady gaze carried a calm certainty that made the room hesitate. She was not trembling. She was not pleading. She stood as if she had come prepared for this moment long before anyone else realized it would arrive. The girl's name was Amara. Most people in the city did not know her story because her family had never asked for attention. Years earlier, her father Marcus had moved to the city with nothing more than a small duffel bag and the promise he made to his late wife that he would raise their daughter with honesty and courage. Marcus worked wherever he could find work. Some days he carried bricks under the burning sun. Other days he repaired damaged homes after storms. His hands were rough, his back often aching, but every evening he returned home with the same quiet smile. Amara remembered the smell of dust and fresh wood that clung to his clothes. She remembered the way he washed his hands slowly before dinner, careful not to stain the small kitchen table. Most nights they studied together after work. Marcus had never been able to finish school when he was young, but he made sure his daughter never missed a lesson. When Amara struggled with reading, he practiced with her late into the night. When she asked why he worked so hard, he told her something she never forgot. Strength is not about power. Strength is about standing when the world expects you to fall. Those words became the quiet rhythm of her childhood. Echoing through the small apartment they called home, the case that brought them to court had begun months earlier. Marcus had been part of a construction team building a luxury tower owned by one of the richest men in the country. The project promised wealth for investors and prestige for the city. Odd. But the workers knew the truth behind the shining advertisements. The deadlines were rushed. Safety concerns were ignored. Marcus had warned supervisors more than once about unstable support beams on the upper floors. Each time he spoke, he was told to keep working and stop asking questions. Then one afternoon, part of the structure collapsed during a routine inspection. No one was seriously injured, but the damage halted the entire project. Within days, the company blamed Marcus. They claimed he had failed to secure equipment properly. The billionaire owner quickly filed a lawsuit, determined to protect his reputation and shift responsibility away from his corporation. Marcus lost his job almost immediately. Friends who once stood beside him at work avoided eye contact. The company's lawyers moved quickly, presenting reports and documents that made Marcus appear careless. The truth felt buried under polished language and confident voices. Yet through it all, Marcus remained calm. He told Amara that truth does not shout. Truth waits. But Amara could see the exhaustion in his eyes each night as the courtroom hearing continued. The billionaire's team spoke again, describing Marcus as a man who had ignored instructions. Their words were smooth and practiced, designed to guide the judge toward a simple conclusion. Marcus listened in silence. Amara watched the room carefully. She saw the way some people avoided looking at her father. She saw others studying their phones, unwilling to become involved. Silence filled the space like a quiet wall. But Amara had spent weeks studying every document she could find. She had visited the construction site after school. She had spoken with workers who were too afraid to testify openly. Her small notebook was filled with careful notes written in neat handwriting. When the judge finally allowed her to speak, she stepped forward with the same calm confidence she carried at the beginning. She explained how the support beams had been reported unsafe weeks before the collapse. She described the internal messages that warned supervisors about the risk. Her voice remained steady as she laid each fact gently on the table. The billionaire's smile slowly faded as she continued. The room grew quieter with every sentence. People began to realize that the girl speaking was not guessing. She was revealing a story that had been carefully hidden. Then Amara reached into her folder and placed several printed pages before the judge. These were internal emails sent by engineers employed by the billionaire's company. The messages clearly warned about the unstable structure. The engineers recommended halting work until repairs were made. But another message followed just hours later from an executive office, ordering the project to continue to avoid delays that would cost millions. The courtroom felt different now. The earlier confidence of the billionaire's lawyers began to crack. Amara explained how her father had repeatedly reported the same danger. She described how he had even refused to work on the upper floor days before the collapse. Her voice did not rise in anger. It remained calm, almost gentle, but each word carried weight. Some truths are too strong to hide forever. The judge read the documents slowly, his expression growing more serious. The billionaire shifted in his seat, the comfortable certainty he once held slipping away piece by piece. The room realized that the quiet worker, being blamed, had actually tried to prevent the disaster all along. Amara then said something that would later travel across the country through news, reports, and social media. A person does not need money to stand tall. A person needs truth and courage. Her father had taught her that silence can be stronger than shouting when it protects dignity. She explained that Marcus never spoke publicly about the unsafe conditions because he believed the company would eventually correct the problem. He trusted that responsibility would guide those in charge. Instead, he became the easiest person to blame. The courtroom sat in deep stillness. Even the billionaire seemed unable to interrupt the moment. Amara concluded her statement by reminding everyone that her father had spent years building homes and offices for people he would never meet. He did not ask for praise. He only asked for honesty. And honesty, once revealed, cannot be erased by wealth or influence. The judge's decision came after a long pause that felt almost endless. He ruled that the company had ignored documented safety warnings and had wrongly blamed Marcus for the collapse. The lawsuit against Marcus was dismissed, and the court ordered an investigation into the construction company's practices. A quiet wave of relief moved through the gallery. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment, his shoulders finally relaxing after months of tension. Amara stood beside him, calm but proud. The billionaire remained seated, staring at the documents that had undone the careful story his team tried to build. Outside the courthouse, people who had followed the case began to gather. Some had come out of curiosity. Others came because they recognized something rare in the story unfolding before them. As Marcus and Amara stepped outside, several workers from the construction site approached. They shook Marcus's hand one by one. No speeches were made. No loud celebration filled the street. Yet the respect in that quiet gathering felt stronger than any applause. In the days that followed, the story spread far beyond the courtroom. People spoke about the girl who defended her father with calm courage and careful truth. They shared the simple lesson her father had taught her through years of hard work and patience. Real strength does not always arrive with wealth or loud voices. Sometimes it stands quietly beside us, waiting for the right moment to be seen. Marcus returned to work weeks later, this time with a construction company known for strict safety standards. Amara returned to school, carrying the same small notebook she had used in court. Their lives remained simple, but something had changed. The city now understood the power of quiet integrity. And for anyone who heard the story, one truth remained clear. Respect is not demanded by power. Respect is earned by courage that refuses to bend when truth is at stake. If this story moved you, share where you were watching from and what lessons stayed with you the most. And if you believe quiet heroes deserve to be remembered, stay with us and subscribe for more stories that honor the strength many people carry in silence.